Welcome to MCN. We're riding around the MCN 250 test route with MCN reader Gavin Freeman,
Hello.
who wants to brush up on his riding skills ahead of the coming biking season. Now, we're in Grantham today, which is just a little bit off the route, at Chris Walker Motorcycles. And the reason we're here is because we want to talk about bike maintenance. I can see, Gavin, that your S1000RR is in pretty good nick, I'd say.
Yeah, I try to look after it best I can, keep it nice and clean. That way, as I'm sort of working around it, get to see if anything's sort of, out of position, out of shape,
Yeah.
leaking, not leaking, make sure everything's fine. My sort of level of mechanical knowledge as such is, I would say, pretty sort of limited. But you can always tell, if you keep it nice and clean, you can always tell when something's wrong.
Yeah. Well, not everyone is as diligent as you. And that's the reason we're here. We're going to give Gavin's bike a vehicle health check, as they call it, here at Chris Walker Motorcycles. And we're going to take it into the workshop, give it a check over. And within that, we're going to see what kind of things you should be looking out for when you're maintaining your bike. And of course, a well-maintained bike is going to be nicer to ride, it's going to be easier to ride, and above all, it's going to be safer. So let's get it in the workshop. So here we are with the man himself, Chris. How you doing, mate?
Good to see you again, mate. Very well, thank you.
And you're actually still racing, aren't you? So
yes,
let it lie, will you?
wobbling round.
Today, we're looking at Gavin's bike, and we're talking about bike maintenance today, and you're
Yep.
going to give it a vehicle health check, which
That's
is
right.
something that you offer to your customers free of charge, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's something that Kawasaki really encourage you to do, is come and have what they, short is VHC, vehicle health check. And part of a motorcycle when it arrives to us is pretty much, if you do that before the man gets back on it, at least you've made sure it's safe.
Yeah.
It's not overly involved, but it's just looking at the basics and the ancillaries and the bits and bobs that really, if you've got a copy of that, it's a bit like a pre-flight check, really.
Yeah, yeah. Something you
it's
should be doing anyway.
Yeah, a handy thing to have. And this bike, actually, beautiful BMW 1000RR, it's done a few miles and it's still in beautiful nick. So it's obviously had maintenance and been looked after, but not every bike's like that.
No,
so
exactly.
yeah, so it's a handy thing to have. And the service intervals now with Ducati and Kawasaki, and I'm sure the other manufacturers, have been stretched out and out and out, just like they have in the car world, to kind of, people, they haven't got the same expense that they used to have. So inevitably, service mileage at 7,500 miles or more, you wouldn't see a bike potentially for 2 or 3 years if you're one of these riders that only, a bit like me, that only gets one out when the sun's shining.
Yeah.
So if you come back annually like they expect you to do for your warranty, you do a vehicle health check, and at least you know the bike's all right, your chain might need a tweak, and we're more than happy to do it.
Yeah.
As long as we know people are coming, it's something we can accommodate 9% of the time, and you don't charge for it.
Yeah.
So that's great.
So what kind of things are you going to be looking for?
Yeah, I mean, there's a list here, doing your homework. We've already instantly put the man's registration number down, so we've got a copy of the bike, and that'll go on our system along with the gentleman's details. Check the mileage on the bike first, which obviously this didn't look like it had done 20,000
No,
miles. It's
it's after
incredible,
well.
really. So yeah, fair play to the man. And then you've just got your list of bits. You've got your electrical side, your controls, your suspension, your final drive, which is obviously depending whether it's shaft or chain or belt, and then brakes, tyres, bearings, fluids. It's simple stuff. It's simple stuff that if you're mechanically minded, you're sort of checking all the time anyway, just by glancing at it.
Yeah,
but not
yeah.
everybody that rides a modern day motorbike is a mechanic.
No,
I think
that's
it's
right.
back in the day, you pretty much had one as a 16-year-old and grew up with it. You learned how to adjust your chain, adjust your brakes. Whereas now, really, they're just like a car, aren't they? Get on and press the button and
Yeah,
go. So
yeah.
it's probably more important now than it ever has been.
Yeah. And you must have seen some sights coming through this workshop.
Oh,
People
yeah.
not looking after the bikes.
Yeah, I mean, we are very lucky. We do get, because we're selling Ducatis, Kawasaki's, we do get some very nice bikes through the door, but inevitably you still work on the other end of the scale where people use them all day, every day, for work and as commuters, and some of the smaller bikes especially, the 125s, they get a lot of hammer. The guy or the girl, the person's bought that for a purpose to get to work
Yeah.
or to get to college or whatever it is, up and down the A1, up and down the A roads all year round, winter tyres, you know, they need an O-ring chain because standard one isn't O-ring, and they are a horror story sometimes,
Yeah.
so the chain hanging on the floor and things. It's not quite so bad when you get a beautiful superbike
No.
in, because, you know, although you get the odd one do the odd track day, there's not, you know, they're so over-engineered, aren't they, for the
Yeah,
average bit of road use, they don't really get a lot of hammer really. So.
But either way, maintenance is important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just checking, as we've talked about, you know, in the past, tyre pressures are a big thing, especially for tyre wear and the feel of the bike, the way they turn, the way they steer, the way they grip. Your chain now with quick shifters, auto blippers, none of those work properly if your chain's hanging off. And you get people in saying, oh, my shifter's not quite working like it used to, and you get down the side and the chain's nearly on the floor, or it's red rusty. So there's a lot of because of the electronic age now, a lot of those simple things matter to how the bike performs.
Yeah. Well, without further ado then, we'll get cracking and have a look around Gavin's bike.
Well, so Gavin, your bike, it's got more green on here than Johnny Ray's got in his wardrobe, so you're looking all right. It's for a bike that's 10 years old.
Good to hear.
And done 20,000 miles. It's obviously been well looked after, been well maintained, which is good, because not every bike is like that. But it's why you have a vehicle health check, because for some people, especially when you've just bought a new bike, you don't know exactly what you're buying, so it's a good time to do it. But there's pretty much gone through all your lights, where your indicators, your horn, so electrical side of it's full clean bill of health. Your controls, that's mainly things, gear levers, brake levers, clutch bits and bobs. He has picked it up on one thing, which is the clutch switch. It's clearly working to a degree, but you should be able to start your bike when it's in gear with the clutch in, and it won't let you on occasion. So it's probably either wants a bit of lube on it, maybe the switch changing. It's not serious, but it could catch you out at some point.
Yeah.
So that side of thing, everything's okay apart from that, and it's quite an inexpensive thing to chain. So that's easy enough. Suspension wise, all perfectly clear. Final drive, it's amazing actually how good a condition your chain sprockets are in. Your chain could be shinier, but if you have a service at Chris Walker Motorcycles, you get shiny chain. So that's the next thing you do. Front brakes, rear brakes, perfectly fine. And on these bikes, obviously, they are ABS. It is a super bike. They do get a bit of hammer, but the standard pads, and depending what you replace them with, they do last really well. You know, if you're not track daying it, that's when they get the biggest abuse. But you can normally tell. I mean, you are using the brakes. You've got plenty of brake, just front and back wheel. So, you know, keep an eye on those sort of things. Tyre wear, perfect front and back. I noticed that when we put it on the ramp. To be honest, they're in really good shape. They're not even out around, are they? Normally the rears for road use flat a little bit in the middle. The wheel bearings, steering head bearings and things, we did those before we put it on the ramp, just on the thing, so they're all fine. Oil level's fine, coolant level's fine, and brake fluids are fine. Obviously you haven't got clutch brake fluid because it's old school racing style, how it should be with a cable, so that's mega. I mean, fair play to you really. I don't know how much of the maintenance you do yourself, but you know, it's a credit to you, to be honest, and to BMW, because you know, to have a bike that's 10 years old, 20,000 miles, I know it's only an average of 2,000 miles a year, but you don't see many as nice as this, so yeah.
That's really reassuring, thank you very much.
Brilliant, well done.
I hope that's given you an insight to what it takes to maintain your bike and how important it is. Gavin, your bike has passed with a clean bill of health, which is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's very reassuring to know. Like I say, I'm not in any way mechanically minded, but it's good to know that the things and the checks which I'm doing sort of before riding it and at the weekends are paying off.
Yeah, well done. Let's get back on the MCN 250 route. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos like this coming soon.